welcome to Pitch BrandTalk. I'm Simran Sabharwal. I have with me today Mr. Nishant Kashikar. He's the Country Manager, India and Gulf for Tourism Australia. Nishant, hi.
Hi, Simran. Good to see you, and thanks for having me on the call.
Nishant, I just want to start off December and January. It's summer in Australia, and a lot of sporting activities actually shifts over here. The focus of the world in terms of sporting activities, shifts to Australia, be it in terms of the cricket or even Australian Open. So, what are the strategies for India for this period that you have?
So, Simran, one of the key trends that we have seen in travel is around this whole phenomena called as event globetrotting, where Indians are now traveling for cultural, social, and entertainment gatherings, irrespective of where these events are held. So, be it a Coldplay concert or a Taylor Swift concert or a Diljit Dosanjh's concert, or it's the current ongoing Gavaskar series, which has been played in Australia, or the Australian Open, or the Formula One races, or it could be the Football World Cup, or the FIFA as we call it. Uh, so Indians are traveling in huge numbers for these events. And we've always tried to capitalize on the whole contextual and PR opportunity that these events have presented to us. So, be it the ICC T20 World Cup that was held in 2022, or the FIFA Women's World Cup that was held in Australia in 2023, or the ongoing Border Gavaskar series in 2024, or the Australian Open, which happens in the second fortnight of January every year in Melbourne, you tend to capitalize on these opportunities to showcase Australia to all those who are considering a long haul holiday, and yeah, exactly. So this is what we do, and uh, through our various media initiatives, through our various PR activations, we try to build Australia's awareness and consideration even further. And these events not only help us to drive visitation for the event, but also beyond the events as well.
Can you give me an idea about what has been the growth in Indians traveling for events specifically? If not, at least if you could give me an idea or a sense for Australia specifically, where then it would be mostly tied to cricket.
So, based on the reports what Cricket Australia have shared with us, there are almost over 10,000 Indians who have booked to travel for the ongoing Border Gavaskar series, and these are Indians across the globe, and that's a
Okay.
pretty significant number. The number of tickets sold out of India have seen almost a 5x increase as compared to the 2018-2019 series, because
Yeah.
there was no COVID during that time of the year. So as compared to that, there's a significant surge in Indian visitation or Indian visitors traveling to Australia for this particular series. But overall, uh, India has been one of the fastest growing markets for tourism Australia. We are already at almost 108% of our pre-COVID levels with a record 430,000 visitors. The spend by Indian tourists has increased by almost 29% to reach through $2.3 billion. And most importantly, India has also significantly improved its ranking from being the seventh largest destination in 2019 to become the fifth largest destination in 2024. So all the initiatives and the marketing programs which have been undertaken by Tourism Australia have contributed to this particular growth that we're witnessing.
And I believe that Indians, even in terms of the money they spend, they are also among the highest, right? In Australia, particularly long stay and in terms of the money they spend.
Absolutely. So whilst arrivals have gone up by 8%, spend has increased by 29%. And an average Indian spends close to almost $6,000 on an Australian holiday, which is supposed to be the highest, if not highest, at par with what a global traveler spends in Australia.
That's interesting. But let's get to your marketing campaigns. You tied up with cricketer Pat Cummins for Cummins Say Good Day campaign. How's that for a holiday? Alongside with the cute kangaroo Ruby, who's your ambassador. And you also tied up with David Warner, who showcases his favorite Australian holiday destinations. And this is primarily a content partnership across social media. So, can you tell me what are your expectations or metrics that you're looking at from these campaigns?
First and foremost, I guess the Australian cricketers resonate really well amongst Indian consumers. Travel every year during the IPL. They've developed a great bond and friendships with the Indian travelers as well. David Warner alone he's got around 10 million followers on Instagram, and a majority of those are Indians. Pat Cummins, he's got close to almost 2.8 million followers on Instagram. and they're really liked and adored by Indian travelers. We thought, and therefore we thought, why not reach out to them and convert them into our brand ambassadors to showcase the best of what Australia has to offer. And therefore, here we go. We had the broader Gavaskar series coming up, and we have tied up with these two cricketing legends to showcase why there's truly nothing like Australia. And the way we're measuring our success would be in the form of the brand health metrics, where we measure the consideration for travel to Australia, the awareness and desirability and the fashionability quotient for Australia. We also measure Australia in terms of the key factor that Indian travelers consider before selecting a holiday destination, and how we perform on those particular metrics. So brand health metrics is something that we closely monitor. And another thing that we look at are the campaign metrics. So what is the cost per view, your CTRs, your CPCs, or the number of leads that are generated as a result of the campaign, and the engagement levels per se. And these two metrics, whether the brand health metrics and the campaign metrics, help us to achieve the strategic KPIs, which are in the form of spend, arrivals, disposal, cost per person or spend per person. And if you do well on the brand health metrics and the campaign metrics, it automatically translates into increase in the strategic KPIs that we've set for ourselves. So yeah, I'm sure we've seen a significant surge in bookings, inquiries for travel for the Body Gavaskar series, and even beyond that, because it coincides with the year-end holidays as well. And we're confident that we're going to end the year 2024 on a record high.
You've also, Tourism Australia has also signed a 3-year marketing agreement with Air India to drive Indian visitor arrivals to Australia. Under this MOU, Tourism Australia and Air India will jointly undertake and implement marketing activities that showcase Australia. So, if you can just expand, what does this agreement entail? Can you just expand on this?
So India is today one of the fastest growing aviation markets in the world, right? We have Air India that have ordered almost close to 500 aircrafts. Indigo has ordered over 1,000 aircrafts, and we've got two new airports coming up. One in Mumbai, possibly mid of next year, uh, or around Navi Mumbai. That's going to open by June 2024 and 2025, and then we've got the airport in Noida that's opening up around the same time as well. And that airport is supposed to be one of the fastest, one of the biggest in Asia, and the fourth largest in the world. So we not only have you know aircrafts on order, but we also have built new airports. There are almost 34 international airports in India, and this is really going to be an exciting sector. And the whole MOU, which has been signed with Air India, is to ensure that we get a larger share of these aircrafts that they've ordered to fly towards Australia. And our current campaigns, which we're going to roll out with them, will help us to, build awareness for these airlines to fly to Australia, promote some tactical fares. We're going to engage on some of our PR initiatives as well, which will help us to build their load factors, their yields, and that will translate into more flights into Australia. Now, Air India pre-COVID had just 8 flights a week into Australia. Today, they're almost like 17 flights a week into Australia. So they've already seen an increase in business to Australia. They're the second largest carrier out of India. I would like to strengthen this relationship with Air India and see more of Air India's direct flights into Australia.
You've kind of preempted my next question. I was going to ask you, generally, most travelers prefer a direct flight. So I was going to ask you, like, how many direct flights are there between India, Australia, which you said Air India has 17.
Yeah.
And what about Qantas and plans to increase? By what percentage do you think this will increase? And what are you seeing? People prefer to go directly or with a stopover, say, in Singapore, Malaysia, or Bangkok?
So, as compared to pre-COVID levels, where we just had 8 direct flights between India and Australia, today we have 27 direct flights between India and Australia, and that's primarily contributed by Air India and Qantas. Qantas flies out of Delhi as well as out of Bangalore into Sydney, and from Delhi into Melbourne. So, we are already seeing an increase in aviation capacity between India and Australia. However, the 75% of the traffic out of India flies one stop via Singapore or Bangkok or Malaysia or Hong Kong or even Sri Lanka for that matter. And therefore, we continue to collaborate with not just direct carriers, but also indirect carriers through various aviation partnerships. And we firmly believe that we'll only get incremental growth out of India with incremental aviation traffic, right? And therefore we continue to work with all the airlines, all the Australian airports and Indian airports, the state governments who have some attractive incentive packages. The airports have some incentives as well, just to lure them and ensure that whenever they have a new aircraft, they think about Australia as the destination that they should fly to. So we are working very closely with all our partners and all our key stakeholders towards ensuring that not just Air India and Indigo, but also the one-stop carriers increase their capacity into Australia.
What are the key markets in India that you're focusing on, and how much of the travel is coming from metros vis-a-vis, say, Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities?
So a few years back, we moved our targeting from being demographic focused to more of psychographic focused. And in this digital day and age, you're able to do this interest-based targeting based on the likes and preferences of consumers. So we have this cohort called as high-yielding travelers. So these are travelers who not just travel but also spend and contribute significantly to the Australian economy. And they tend to spend more, stay longer, and disperse well. So we believe that 87% of these high-yielding travelers are based into top 8 cities in India, and therefore our focus continues to remain from a marketing PR and distribution on the marketing PR and distribution front on these top 8 cities, which includes Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, Kolkata, Ahmedabad, and Pune.
Okay. I also would like to get an idea when you said looking at the profile of the travelers who are going to Australia, how much is it, say, visiting families? How much is it for events or even business?
So leisure, which includes visiting friends and families, and holiday traffic, that constitutes almost 70% of our overall traffic, or rather 75% of our overall traffic. Business traffic, business tourism contributes to almost 8% of our total visitation. So almost 83% of our traffic out of India to Australia is dominated by the leisure and the business segment, and the balance is around education, employment, and other purpose of visits.
Okay, now one thing what most Indians love is Bollywood and movies, and which is a lot of them are shot abroad. And we've also seen in the past that a lot of movies shot abroad, they also act as an advertising campaign for the country in which they're shot off. I was just thinking about movies which were shot in Australia. I could think of two. One was Dil Chahta Hai, one was Salam Namaste, and also I think Indian. So, are you looking at film and TV productions and going ahead?
Absolutely. I guess we've collaborated with the likes of Excel Entertainment and other prestigious and reputed production houses in India. We've worked with Balaji Telefilms, Ekta Kapoor's own company, and taken each of our family soaps into Australia, whether it's Ghar Ghar Ki Kahani, Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi, or Ye Hai Mohabbatein, and even the one with Ram Kapoor and Sakshi, Bade Achhe Lagte Hai. And we got some phenomenal success out of that. Post that, given the entire shift from television to OTT platforms, we are now looking at opportunities of integrating Australia as a part of the web series as well. While movies are great, and we'll continue to work closely with the production houses towards ensuring that they continue to film in Australia, our strategy going forward would also be to seamlessly integrate a destination as a part of the web series which are promoted on various OTT platforms. And recently, a year ago, there has been an Australia-India audiovisual co-production agreement which has been signed between the two countries. And there are 3 levels of incentives that are offered for Indian production houses to film in Australia. This includes the location offset, the producer offset, and the PDV offset, which is post-digital and visual effect offset credits and incentives that are given. So I'm sure these 3 incentive programs are definitely going to lure Indian production houses to film in Australia.
The other segment is, of course, MICE. How are you targeting MICE to Indian corporate houses?
Given the fact that Indian economy has grown and will continue to grow at a healthy 7 to 8% over the next few years, so that India estimated to become the third largest economy in the world, we believe that this is going to be driven by corporates. So whether it's corporates from the banking, financial services, insurance sectors, or infrastructure companies like steel, cement, and paints, or FMCGs and automobiles, all these companies are going to incentivize their dealers, employees as a part of their reward and recognition program. And to target this particular segment, who tends to spend significantly higher than that of a leisure traveler, we have various programs in place. So we have a best partner program with Singapore Airlines, where we organize sessions for corporates and decision makers and give them reasons to travel to Australia. We recently organized a corporate for the third test match in Gabba and had almost 8 corporates in attendance on day one of the Gabba test match, and we took them around to Brisbane and Gold Coast to showcase our convention facilities and everything that Australia has to offer from a business events perspective. We have an event called as Australia Next, where we host leading agents, business event agents to Australia to showcase our MICE infrastructure. And then we also try to sweeten the deal with our Bit Fund program, where we try to incentivize corporates with some funding, based on the time when they come and approach us. And apart from Tourism Australia, we also have our state and territory representatives or the convention bureaus who offer similar incentives to corporates to think about Australia or get their large size groups into Australia. So as a result of this Bit Fund program, a best partner program, a corporate funnels, a trade funnels, we try to engage the MICE traveler. And we've seen some significant success out of this particular segment as well.
Looking ahead to the next year, what can we expect from Tourism Australia? And if you could just share any targets that you've set.
Well, the first and foremost, I guess, there's no other market that offers as much potential to Australia than India. The two countries have come much closer on a geopolitical front, from a trade and tourism and investment links, or education links, and people-to-people links in general between the two countries are stronger than ever before, and therefore we believe that we'll continue to achieve greater success out of this particular market. In terms of targets, there are research agencies like the Tourism Research Australia who forecast that there will be at least 650,000 visitors by 2028. That's almost 50% higher than what we are currently seeing. And to achieve that particular number, I guess we have a four-pronged strategy. The first part of which focuses on knowing the customer and inspiring the customer to think about Australia through various marketing, PR, and various distribution and partnership initiatives. The second one is around aviation and access and facilitating direct and one-stop flights, facilitating the visa process for Australia and making it easier for Indian consumers to lodge a visa application for Australia. The third one is around quality experiences, where through trade events, we tend to launch new products, new experiences, and new destinations within Australia, which helps us to drive the economic growth for the country as well. And lastly, focusing on the business events or the MICE segment, which is also equally rewarding. So with this four-pronged strategy, we intend to hit that mark of 650,000 visitors by 2028.
My last question is actually going to be on what you mentioned, visa. This has been a challenge for a lot of Indians because be it Schengen, be it US, there are long. It's a long time. You don't even get an appointment, and it's a really tiresome process also. So what are you doing to facilitate? You mentioned you're going to facilitate, right? So what's being done on that front so that it eases the Indian consumers? Their yeah, it doesn't give them a lot of tension, basically.
So the Australian visitor visa process is one of the best in class, is what I would say, and it's considered as a gold standard amongst our peers. One, it's 100% online process, so you do not have to step out of your house. You can sit at your office where you're currently seated and apply and lodge your visa application. Two, you do not have to submit your biometrics, so you do not have to physically go outside your office or submit your biometric data. Third, the third part is that you do not have to physically be present for an in-person interview. So you do not have to stand in long queues in extreme cold or extreme heat or even during the rains outside an embassy for an interview. So 100% online process, no biometrics, no interviews. The passport remains in your custody, in your hands, and the entire process is seamless. It's 100% online, and as I said, you can lodge it 24/7, 365 days. And the turnaround time for these applications is pretty fast. So the speed and ease of Australian visa processing is really second to none. And almost 50% of the applications get their visas in less than 10 days. And we have also seen instances where high quality lodgements, people with a good travel history, a sound financial background, get their visas in as less as within 48 hours as well. And for corporates, we've got a streamlined and a personalized service where you get a dedicated visa officer, you get a dedicated group ID. It's a single window clearance for y'all, and the turnaround time in most cases between 2 to 3 weeks. So this is truly the best in class visa product, and And I think that's one of the reasons why we're seeing a significant growth in visitors from India to Australia as well.
I guess that's great news for all Indian travelers. Thank you so much, Nishant, for your time. It was lovely talking to you.
Thank you, Simran, for the opportunity. Good to see you too. Bye.